Hey guys, it's Ansel again and I'm back with an incredibly rushed video. And no, it's not because I'm lazy, it's because there's a crazy deal right now and I think you guys need to hop on it if you already haven't. But before we start, let's hop onto our sponsored segment. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for printing custom PCBs or creating one-off / small run GBs for your next custom keyboard project. Right now they are having their annual end of the year big sale, which runs from December 2nd to December 31st. To show their gratefulness to their customers, they are offering free Christmas cash coupons, lucky draws, and more. Check out the description below for a link to see PCBWay's big sale in greater detail. Now before we move on, I will say that I have paid for all of the products mentioned in this video with my own money, so note that I will be giving my full and honest review. So right now on Canon Keys, AEBoards' Raeds switches and Naevies R1.5 switches are selling in packs of 35 switches each for only $11.35. That's roughly 32 to 33 cents a switch before shipping and taxes. They're also going for half off on other vendors such as lubed, so don't worry if you're not in the US. Now Raeds and Naevies are typically twice this price and they compete with other premium switches such as Inks or JWKs. And now we're going for barely more than some Gateron Yellows or even J-Wigs. Now I'm going to go out on a leg here, but I'm assuming that the reason that these switches are going for so cheap is because Canon Keys is attempting to clear stock for the new iterations of these switches, which are supposed to have updated molds and 5-pin bottom housings versus the current iteration of 3-pin bottom housing. Now of course, I'll give you a quick overview of these switches as well as a review, followed by a sound test, just so you know what you're getting into. I'll also be referring to Theremin Goat's review, specifically for the background info, so please check him out if you already haven't. So to put it simply, Naevies are a tactile switch that debuted last year, but they didn't have the best reaction from the community as they weren't particularly great. So in March of this year, the Naevies were completely redone and re-released along with Raeds, a linear version of the switch, and they cost about 65 cents to switch for both switches. When these switches re-released, they had nylon bottoms, polycarbonate tops, and NPE stems. NPE is a proprietary plastic blend developed to act as an intermediate between palm and umwipe, offering the positives that both of these plastics have to offer without any of the drawbacks, or so they claim. While these switches aren't particularly popular, I have seen several members of the community give these switches high praise and recommendation, with some of them being high-profile content creators such as Alex Zotos and Apiary. Now moving on to the review, starting with the Naevies. I actually really like these, and typically the only switches I like are linears or MX Browns. They are a long pole switch featuring a medium to light tactile bump, which has been stated to be an Ergo Clear-like bump from AEBoards, and even though I haven't tried Ergo Clear, they're probably right. They're roughly in between, say, like an MX Brown and a T1, which is a pretty good sweet spot if you ask me. They have a slightly rounder tactile bump that starts early on in the keystroke and doesn't feel fatiguing after long sessions. It's still a little too tactile for my personal taste, but I think this strikes a happy medium for those who want something stronger than Browns, but nothing crazy like U4Ts or Pandas. They have just a bit of scratch, but honestly it's not particularly noticeable once you hit the tactile bump, and this only improves with lube. The bottom mount is also surprisingly soft given the fact that they are long pole switches. As for the Raeds, these are fairly similar in feel minus the bump. However, the scratchiness is more noticeable as there is no tactile bump to detract from it. However, the scratchiness isn't like your normal scratch, it's almost chalky. So oddly enough, it's actually more bearable than slightly smoother switches that are not NPE, which I find to be very interesting. Just like the Naevies, they also have a slightly softer bottom mount despite being long pole, which I find to be nice. Just like Naevies, despite being long pole, they have a slightly softer bottom mount, which I kind of like. They also improved quite a bit with lube and films being just a tad smoother than Gat Yellows after being modded, although there is a bit of batch variance so your mileage may vary. However, while I did film the Raeds, I don't think they particularly need them, and neither do the Naevies, so you can choose to film or not to film these switches, that's totally up to you. As for sound, both of these switches are bit towards the deeper side, with the Naevies being slightly deeper. They also have a very full sound, but it's odd, it's almost like a deep clack. I don't know, it's kinda weird. But they don't sound thin or plasticky at all, and are slightly muted when compared to other long pole switches. They just have a very rich and full sound, and I really like that. Overall, I really like how they sound, and I think most people would too. However, there are two negatives I have to give both of these switches. One, they're both 3-pin, that is self-explanatory, but they are releasing a 5-pin soon, so at least there's that. Two, both of these have really brittle stems. Both stems are far more fragile than your typical palm stem, and as such, you need to be cautious when placing or removing keycaps. I've already broken a few Raid stems without even being particularly rough, so definitely be careful. So do I recommend these switches? For this price, absolutely. Whether they were worth the original price is up for debate. I personally think they were just like 5 to 10 cents too pricey. But at only 32 to 33 cents a switch, these are a steal. So grab them before they run out. And that's it for the video, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. Hope y'all have a great day and hope to see you next time.